My name is Hajara, and this is the story of my family and me. I am telling it the way I remember it, with a simple heart and clear mind. We lived in a small part of Pakistan where houses were close together and secrets were kept quietly. Our home was not rich, but it was full of care. In our house, there was a book that was never placed on the table during the day. It was wrapped in cloth and kept behind other things. I did not know all its meaning at first, but I knew it was important. When night came and the city became quiet, my father would bring it out carefully. My mother would sit close, and my brothers and sisters would gather around. They spoke softly and slowly. Sometimes they cried. Sometimes they smiled with peace. I did not understand every word, but I felt calm when the book was opened. It made our room feel safe, even when fear lived outside our walls. My parents taught us to be careful. They told us not to speak about the book outside the house. They told us to be respectful to everyone and not argue. I learned early that belief could be dangerous where we lived. Still, my heart was drawn to the stories they shared from that book. I learned about love, forgiveness, and hope. I learned that God sees even the smallest child. These ideas stayed with me even when I went to sleep. One evening everything changed. There was loud knocking on our door, not the kind that friends make. It was strong and angry. Men came into our house and searched everywhere. They found the book. When they held it up, the room felt cold. My mother held my hand tightly. My father did not speak. My brothers and sisters stood still. Fear filled the space where peace once lived. We were taken away that night. The streets looked different in the dark, like they were watching us leave. I did not cry, but my heart was beating fast. I did not know where we were going, only that we were together. As we were pushed into a hidden place under the ground, I remembered the words I had heard from the book about light and darkness. I held on to that thought, even though I did not yet know how important it would become. That was the beginning of the journey that changed my life and the life of my family forever. The place they took us to was deep under the ground. I remember the steps going down, and the air becoming heavy. There were no windows, only small lamps that gave weak light. The walls were rough, and the floor was cold even when we sat close together. This place was meant to make people feel forgotten. I did not know the word for it then, but later I understood it was an underground prison. Days passed, but it was hard to count them. Morning and night felt the same because the light never changed. We were given little food and water, just enough to stay alive. Sometimes we heard footsteps above us or voices far away, but no one explained what would happen to us. My parents knew we were waiting for a trial. I did not fully understand what that meant, but I knew it was something serious and frightening. My father tried to stay strong. He would sit with his back against the wall and close his eyes, thinking deeply. My mother whispered prayers in her heart while holding me close. My older siblings were quiet in a way I had never seen before. They were trying to be brave for me, but fear lived in their eyes. Even so, we stayed together. No one blamed anyone. No one spoke harshly. Love became stronger in that dark place. At night, when the prison was silent, I remembered the stories from the hidden book. I remembered how God helped people when there was no way out. I did not know how or when help would come, but something inside me stayed calm. I felt small, but I did not feel alone. Sometimes I would look at the locked doors and thick gates and wonder if we would ever see the sky again. One night, as we sat quietly, my mother brushed my hair with her fingers like she used to do at home. It made me feel safe even though we were not safe. My brother held my sister's hand. My father breathed slowly like he was counting each breath. In that moment I felt a deep stillness inside me, different from fear. It was like waiting, but not the painful kind. It was like expecting something important. I did not know then that this waiting was preparing my heart. The underground prison was not only a place of fear, but also a place where my faith began to grow stronger. While our bodies were trapped, something inside me felt free, like it was listening for a call. I did not speak about this feeling yet. I kept it inside, not knowing it would soon change everything. In that dark place, where hope seemed impossible, something unseen was already moving toward us. It happened on a night that felt heavier than the others. The air was still, and everyone in my family was awake, even though no one was speaking. I was sitting close to my mother, my head resting against her side. My eyes were open, but I was not looking at the walls anymore. I was thinking about the stories of deliverance I had heard from the book. I was thinking about light finding people in dark places. Then something changed around me. First, it was not a sound. It was a feeling, like the fear in my chest slowly moved away. The darkness in the room did not disappear, but it stopped pressing on my heart. I felt a warmth, gentle and calm, like when the sun touches your face in the early morning. I lifted my head, and that was when I became aware that I was not alone in the way I thought. I saw a presence near me, clear and peaceful. It did not come through the door or the walls. It was simply there, as if it had always been there. I was not afraid. That surprised me because I was a small girl in a prison, and yet fear did not control me. My heart felt steady. My mind felt clear. The presence let me know that it was sent to guide me. I understood without being spoken to that I was to stand up and follow. It revealed to me that the way out was already prepared, even though no one could see it yet. I was made to understand that I should not argue, delay, or explain too much. I was to move, and my family would move with me. I looked at my parents and my siblings. They were still sitting quietly, unaware of what I was seeing. My hands were shaking slightly, but my heart was strong. I gently told them what I was being shown and what I was being asked to do. I explained that a messenger of God had appeared and that we were to follow without fear. I did not add my own ideas. I only shared what was revealed to me. Something strange happened then. No one questioned me. My father did not ask how. My mother did not ask why. My brothers and sisters did not argue. It was as if they also felt the same peace that had come over me. One by one they stood up. No one cried. No one spoke loudly. We were all quiet, but not because of fear. It was because of trust. The presence turned and began to move forward, and I followed. I did not look back. My family followed behind me in silence. I was the smallest, but I was leading, and that did not feel wrong. It felt right, like this moment had been waiting for us. As we took our first steps toward the locked doors, I realized that what was about to happen could not be explained by human strength. Still, my heart was not troubled. I knew we were not alone anymore. We walked toward the first door, the one we had stared at every day since we were brought into the underground prison. It was thick and heavy, made of metal, with locks that looked impossible to break. I had watched guards open it before with keys and effort. Now, as we stood before it, there were no guards, no keys, and no sound. The presence moved straight toward the door without slowing down. I followed, my heart beating fast but steady. I expected to feel the cold metal, or to stop suddenly, but that did not happen. As I stepped forward, it felt like walking through cool air. The door did not open, and it did not move, yet I passed through it. It was still closed behind me, just as it had been before. I turned slightly, and I saw my family doing the same. My mother held my hand, and I could feel her fingers, warm and real. My father walked with calm steps. My brothers and sisters followed, their faces serious but peaceful. One by one, they passed through the closed door as if it was not there. No one screamed. No one fell. We were still ourselves, yet something greater was carrying us. There were more doors ahead, and gates too. Each one was locked, guarded by fear in the minds of those who built them. But none of them stopped us. We passed through walls and gates the same way, quietly and smoothly. The underground paths that once felt like a maze now felt clear. I did not need to choose directions. I only followed the presence, and the way revealed itself. As we moved, I could hear distant sounds of the prison, but they felt far away, like they belonged to another world. My feet touched the ground, yet it felt light. I was aware of every step, every breath. This was not a dream. I knew that clearly. It was more real than fear had ever been. When we reached the final barrier, the one that led out of the underground place, I felt the air change. It was fresher, lighter. I knew we were close to the surface. The presence slowed, as if to let us understand that we were about to leave a place of suffering behind. I felt gratitude rise in my heart, even though I did not have words for it. We passed through the last closed gate, and suddenly we were outside. The night sky was above us, wide and open. I saw stars for the first time in what felt like a very long time. The city was quiet, unaware of what had just happened beneath it. We stood still for a moment, letting the night air fill our lungs. The presence guided us forward, away from the prison and away from the center of the city. We walked without being seen, moving through shadows and empty streets. Even when people were nearby, it was as if their eyes could not rest on us. I understood that we were being hidden. That night, we left the place that was meant to end our lives. We did not run in panic. We walked in peace, led step by step into freedom. The city was quiet as we moved through it. It was the kind of quiet that comes late at night, when people are asleep and the streets rest for a while. I could see houses, shops, and narrow roads that I had known before, but everything looked different now. It felt like we were moving through the city without belonging to it anymore. We did not hurry, yet we did not stop. The presence continued to guide me, and I followed with calm steps. My family stayed close behind me. I could hear their breathing, steady and controlled. No one asked questions. No one looked back. We all seemed to understand that looking back was not part of this journey. At some points we passed very close to people. I saw men sitting near a corner, talking quietly. I saw a guard standing near a checkpoint. I saw lights from houses where families slept peacefully. Each time I expected someone to notice us, to shout or to stop us. But nothing happened. It was as if we were walking through the city unseen. I realized then that we were being protected in a way I could not explain. As we walked, my thoughts became clear. Fear did not speak to me anymore. Instead, I felt a deep sense of direction. I knew we were leaving behind more than just a prison. We were leaving behind a life of hiding and silence. Ahead of us was something unknown, but it did not feel empty. It felt prepared. The ground beneath our feet slowly changed. The crowded streets became fewer. The buildings spread out. The noise of the city faded into the distance. I felt tired in my body, but my spirit felt strong. My mother placed her hand on my shoulder at one point, and I knew she was thanking God quietly in her heart. We walked for a long time. I could not tell how many hours passed. The stars slowly shifted in the sky, and a soft wind followed us. At a certain point, the presence let me know that we were far enough from danger for now. We stopped near a quiet open area, where the land stretched wide and the city lights were faint behind us. We rested there briefly, sitting on the ground together. No one spoke, but our silence was full of understanding. We were no longer prisoners. We were no longer waiting for judgment. We were free, even though our journey was not finished yet. As we prepared to continue toward a distant place where we would find safety among believers, I felt something settle in my heart. I knew that our lives would never be the same again. What we had experienced was not only an escape, but a calling. When we stood up again, the city was far behind us. The lights looked small, like stars on the ground, and they slowly disappeared as we moved forward. I understood then that we were not just leaving a place, we were leaving a former life. There would be no going back to our old home, our old streets, or our old routines. This knowledge did not bring sadness to me. Instead, it brought a quiet strength. We traveled mostly at night and rested during the day. Sometimes we walked. Sometimes we were helped by people whose hearts were kind, even though they did not know our full story. The presence that guided us before was no longer visible to my eyes, but I knew we were still being led. Direction was placed in my heart, and each step felt guided, not random. The journey was not easy. There were times when we were hungry and tired. My feet hurt and my body felt weak. My older siblings helped carry me when I could not walk anymore. My parents shared whatever little food we had. No one complained. We had learned in the underground prison that love becomes stronger when people suffer together. There were moments of fear too. We had to be careful where we went and who we spoke to. My father often looked around before allowing us to rest. My mother stayed alert, even when she slept lightly. Still, even in those moments, fear did not rule us. Faith had grown roots in our hearts, and it held us firm. After many days, we reached a place far from the city, where believers lived quietly among others. They did not have large buildings or loud gatherings. Their faith was simple and careful, but it was real. When they saw us, they did not ask many questions at first. They saw our condition, our tired faces, and our need for safety. They welcomed us. Living among Christians felt different from everything I had known before. There was peace in their prayers and kindness in their actions. They shared food with us and gave us a place to rest. They listened when my parents slowly told parts of our story. Some of them cried. Some of them prayed silently. All of them showed love. As days passed, we began to heal. Our bodies rested, and our hearts slowly learned how to breathe again without fear. I spent time listening to the believers talk about God's faithfulness. I learned more about the words that had once been hidden in our home. Now they were spoken openly, even if still carefully. I realized that what happened to us was not only for our rescue. It was also for our growth. Faith was no longer just something we read quietly at night. It had become something we lived through danger, obedience, and trust. Living in that new place gave me time to think. For the first time, my life was quiet without danger close by. I was still a child, but my heart felt older. I remembered the underground prison, the locked doors, the night walk, and the long journey away from the city. These memories did not fade. Instead, they became part of me, teaching me lessons I did not learn from books alone. Before all this happened, faith was something my parents protected carefully. It was hidden, whispered, and guarded. After our escape, faith became something alive inside me. I understood that God was not far away or silent. He was present even when no one else could help. I began to see that obedience mattered, even when it did not make sense. That night in the prison, I did not fully understand what was happening, but I followed what was revealed to me, and it saved my family. Sometimes I asked myself why I was the one chosen to see the messenger and to lead. I was small and young. I did not have answers, but I learned that God does not always choose by age or strength. He looks at the heart. This thought humbled me and made me careful. I did not feel proud. I felt responsible to live rightly. Among the believers, I learned how to pray with understanding. I learned how to listen quietly and forgive quickly. I saw people who had suffered before and still chose love. Their lives showed me that faith is not only about miracles, but also about daily kindness, patience, and trust. There were nights when fear tried to return. Loud sounds or sudden movements would remind me of the prison. When that happened, I remembered how God led us through closed doors. That memory became my comfort. I understood that if He could bring us out of that place, He could also keep us in peace now. My family changed too. My father became gentler and more thankful. My mother's prayers became deeper and stronger. My brothers and sisters became more caring, watching over one another. Suffering had not broken us. It had shaped us. I realized that faith is not proven when life is easy. It is proven when there seems to be no way out, yet you still trust. That understanding stayed with me and became the foundation of my journey with God. As time passed, our new life slowly took shape. We were still careful, but we were no longer hiding in fear the way we used to. Each day brought small routines that helped us feel human again. We helped with simple work, shared meals, and spent time with the believers who had welcomed us. Life was not easy, but it was honest, and it was peaceful in a way I had never known before. People noticed my family, even though we did not speak loudly about what had happened to us. They saw how closely we stayed together and how thankful we were for simple things. Sometimes, when believers gathered quietly, my parents would share parts of our story. They did not exaggerate or add drama. They only spoke of what God had done and how He had guided us. Many listened with deep attention. Some were encouraged because they were facing their own fears. I did not speak much in those gatherings. I was still young and I preferred to listen. But people often looked at me with gentle eyes. They knew I was the one who had seen the messenger and had followed in obedience. I felt shy about that attention. Inside my heart, I reminded myself that I was only a child who obeyed. The power did not come from me. It came from God. Slowly our story spread, not through noise but through trust. Believers who felt weak began to pray more boldly. Those who felt alone felt less alone. I learned then that testimony does not always need a loud voice. Sometimes it only needs a faithful life. The way we lived, the way we forgave, and the way we trusted spoke louder than words. There were moments when I missed my old home, even though it held danger. I missed familiar streets and simple memories. When those feelings came, I talked to God quietly. I learned that it was okay to feel both gratitude and sadness. Faith did not remove feelings. It taught me how to carry them. I grew in understanding. I learned that following God does not always lead to comfort, but it always leads to purpose. Our escape was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a life meant to reflect love, patience, and trust. Through our simple lives, others were reminded that God still works in hidden places and through ordinary people. That knowledge strengthened my heart and prepared me for the lessons still ahead. As I grew older, I began to understand more clearly what our journey had taught me. Obedience was no longer just a word I heard from others. It became something real, something I had lived. That night in the underground prison, obedience did not look safe or reasonable. It looked like stepping forward when fear said stay still. Yet that single act of following changed everything. I learned that suffering is not always a sign that God is far away. Sometimes it is the place where His presence becomes most real. In the prison, when there was no help from people, I felt His nearness the strongest. That taught me not to measure God's love by comfort or ease. His love was proven in guidance, protection, and purpose. There were times when I wondered why our family had to go through such pain. Other families lived normal lives while we lost our home and safety. Over time, I understood that comparison only brings confusion. Every journey is different. What matters is faithfulness in the path given to you. Our path was hard, but it shaped us into people who trusted deeply. I also learned that courage does not mean the absence of fear. I was afraid many times. My family was afraid too. Courage came when we chose to move forward despite that fear. Trusting God did not remove danger, but it gave us strength to walk through it. Prayer became more than words for me. It became a place of rest. Studying God's Word became more than learning stories. It became learning His character. I saw that He is gentle, patient, and faithful. He does not abandon those who call on Him, even when the world turns against them. Looking back, I see that every step, even the painful ones, was part of God's careful leading. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. That understanding gave me peace and prepared my heart to encourage others who face fear and uncertainty. Our journey taught me that faith is not only about being rescued, but also about being changed. And I was changed forever. Now, after all that has happened, I want to share what I have learned with anyone who listens. My family and I were once trapped, afraid, and uncertain. We had nothing but a hidden book, a small heart willing to obey, and God's guidance. And yet, through that small act of trust, we were led out of danger and into life. I want every believer, young or old, to understand that your journey with God matters, even in ways you cannot see. Faith is not a game or something to keep only in quiet moments. It is something to live every day, even when the world seems against you. Obey what God reveals to you. Follow Him carefully, even if others do not understand. Sometimes it may feel strange, even scary, but courage comes from moving forward despite fear, just as I learned when I walked through locked doors. Love one another always. My family survived because we loved and trusted each other, even in fear. Love is stronger than danger. Love is stronger than hate. Pray with your heart, not just your lips. Prayer is a place where you can find courage, peace, and guidance. It will keep your spirit alive when circumstances feel impossible. Study God's Word, for it is your map, your guide, and your light in dark times. The stories, the commands, and the promises you read will become real when life tests you. Do not only read for knowledge. Read to know Him, to trust Him, and to let His words shape your life. Remember that suffering does not mean God is absent. He is present, sometimes in ways you cannot see. He can guide a small child, protect a family, and turn fear into courage. Keep your eyes, heart, and mind open to Him. And when you follow faithfully, even the impossible becomes possible. My prayer for anyone hearing this story is that you take courage, trust deeply, love freely, pray earnestly, and study God's Word diligently. Life with God is not always easy, but it is always purposeful, always full of hope, and always guided by His love. Walk closely with Him, and let your faith shine, even in the darkest nights. This is the story of Hajara and her family, a story of fear, obedience, and God's faithfulness. May it remind you that no one is too small, no path too dark, and no heart too weak for God to guide.